The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is Black Hollywood Live, Breaking Into, featuring in-depth interviews with today's most influential entertainment figures, highlighting their tips, tricks, and techniques on breaking into the entertainment industry.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, Breaking Into.
Hello, and welcome to the premiere edition of the new incarnation of Breaking Into.
Yes.
I am your host, James Law Jr., and I'm a certified life coach. And one of the philosophies that I have is that we're supposed to share knowledge, lift each other up, and pay it forward. This show, I'm going to attempt to do that every single episode. So you're going to join me, right? Every episode, here Thursdays at 5 p.m. here on Black Hollywood Live. My first guest. Let me read what you think I'm busy out there. Let me read about him. He's an actor, activist, beatboxer, educator, writer, and he had his own show this year. Tell Me I'm Pretty.
I did.
Joshua Silverstein.
Hey, man.
Welcome.
This is great.
I'm so glad you're
freaking
here.
out. I'm freaking. This is so cool.
Have your water.
I have two of them.
Yes.
Because that's how big my ego is. As you read. So we all know. We're all on the same page.
You know, your ego's enough to cover all of
I
that.
just need a lot of water to wash it all down. Thanks for having me on your first
Yes,
episode.
thanks for being
First,
here.
is it? You called it an episode, right?
Yeah, first episode.
That's awesome.
This first episode. And so I'm so glad you're here. So you guys out there, follow my page. There's a Breaking Into page on Facebook. It's really simple, Breaking Into. And if you're on Twitter, you can follow me at BlackHopeLA. That's BLAKHOPELA. And use the hashtag Breaking Into. And where can they find you on?
You can find me on Twitter at Joshua Silverbat. Joshua Silverbat. Everywhere else is Joshua Silverstein, but on Twitter, I couldn't fit my whole last name into the Twitter title because Twitter's apparently anti-Semitic, so I couldn't fit Silverstein. So follow me at Joshua Silverbat on Twitter.
Yes, and then on the Breaking Into page, I post more stuff about him will be on there, links to his stuff, behind the scenes footage, all kinds of fun things. And please tell me how you feel about me and the show too, of course. So we're gonna get right into it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I'm so excited. Let's
know.
get as real as possible. I want people to cry. I want to make people cry. Let's have a lot of fun, but I really want to go for tears.
You want to go for the? You want to make me do the ugly cry?
Let's do
like
the ugly.
Oprah?
Yeah, I want like and then
Yes, exactly.
I want that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try for you.
Let's go.
I'm gonna try. I mean, me and Oprah, we try to work it out.
Let's get it going.
Exactly.
Let me have an epiphany tonight.
I love having epiphanies.
Yeah.
I do. Okay. I saw your show.
You did.
And it was really good.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it. And
Thank you very
I want
much.
to start there.
Let's start there.
Let's start there. Okay, so people out there who watch the show are thinking, I want to have a one-man show. Even I have thoughts of a one-man show or something. Now, your show, for people who don't know out there, you had a band.
I did.
Three-piece band.
Yes.
You beatboxed.
I did.
You did monologues.
I did.
You had drama.
I did.
Comedy.
Yes.
You had all of it, all into one.
Yeah.
So take us back from just the very beginnings of just this thinking of doing a one-man show.
Wow. How do I? Okay, so essentially, I'm a big fan of John Leguizamo. And I feel like as far as solo shows goes, his first show that I think was called Freak. I could be wrong about that. Okay, but when I first saw Freak, I thought that's what I want to do.
Okay.
I want that kind of storytelling, engaging the audience with that kind of experience. I want to tell my story in the most vulnerable way, but also make it entertaining. And I feel like as a performer, as an actor, my job is to create media that not only reveals what I'm going through, but also somehow relates to the audience. So solo shows are difficult because I feel like the first thing that performers go through is, or at least what I went through was, I just want to get on the stage and vent.
Okay.
Like the first draft I wrote was simply me being like,
right.
You know, it was really
my
just
life.
Yeah,
my
like
life.
I'm fat. I'm a fat man. And I remember big love to Ben Davis, who was helping me out in the very beginning. But I remember one of the pieces I had in my show was about the weight I've gained. and he said, you don't get to be on stage looking the way you look and talk about being fat because you're gonna offend the fat guy in the audience.
Yes, right.
And so I was like, oh, right. So understanding what this machine is that I'm expressing through, how to best articulate a story that relates to the audience was challenging because I didn't want to throw away the stuff I was feeling about getting older and gaining weight.
Your allergies.
And my allergies
Yes,
and all this stuff.
I love allergies.
Thank you. But just like all this stuff that maybe is me whining. I didn't want to get rid of that. But I had to realize that a solo show is a conversation between you and the audience.
Okay.
It can't just be cathartic. And so many one-man, one-woman shows out there are about the performer expressing, and that's it. There's no actual relation to the audience. So how do I tell my story in a way that is not just about me? Why is the audience coming to see me perform? Why do they care? And having to answer those questions was difficult because the ego is like, well, why would they care?
Right.
You know, why would anyone want to see me be on stage doing what I do? So I went through literally, I would write a 50-page script within a good 2 weeks. There was just material being fleshed out for several months, and then I had to just toss all of that and then go back to the basics of what was the most authentic version of my voice. And once I got to that point, after like chucking tons and tons of pieces, I found a piece. And Diana Wyan, my director, who I was working with on the show, and I ended up discovering a nice vehicle to do all these pieces and do all these various forms of expression that I play in. So I guess to answer your question, I am an activist. My art is my activism. I wanted to do a show that was about me, that allowed me to be on stage and play and have a good time. But I wanted to make it poignant, and I wanted to make it about the world we're living in today. And so Tell Me I'm Pretty is about me as Joshua Silverstein and my experience in needing validation in order to exist in the world, but also how we as people exist and the various isms and dramas and just the many incarnations we exist in, and how the world affects that, how the world plays into what we are as men, what we are as women, what we are as people, because we're all kind of as a world creating these weird ingredients for how to be here.
Yes.
You know,
right.
we have strange definitions of what it means to be black, what it means to be straight, what it means to be gay, what it means to be a person, and I've always felt like the beauty of being human is that we're multidimensional, that you really can't put us in a box. And if you find an avenue to be so bold as to kind of dance in your own way and kind of tell your own story and to be your own person, then you give birth to how awesome we as people are. I feel like I've gotten very, very esoteric in my.
I love it. No, great answer. See, my folks out there, I want them to get this kind of stuff so they can go, wow. As we think about the different elements that go into thinking about a show.
It's hard. I mean, you know,
because how did you get through the process of not whining?
God, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, I got to give props to my director, Diana. She definitely.
So a good director, obviously.
A good director. I mean, you really can't get on stage by yourself and be like, here it is.
Here they are.
You know, I have great friends who are very talented. My partner in crime, Joe Hernandez-Kolsky.
Call Joe.
Yeah, who Poto Joe, who I've been working with for over, I guess, 14, 15 years now. He's a great ear, and he's a theater nerd and has been in the game for many, many years. And so he definitely was a great critic for me to go, here, how about this piece? And you go, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know? Right. And that's the thing too. It's like I had to step back from my work.
Okay.
I wrote it, and
Right.
then I had to step away and just be be the artist and not get caught up in the writing anymore, and let the director kind of go, hey, this is what it should be. And a good director will take your vision as an artist and do his or her best to create magic from that. And Diana did a great job of not making it about her and not making it about her vision. I think she saw what I wanted to do and made it about the audience.
And how'd you find her? Because now you
this is a great story.
You're good.
This is awesome. How do I tell the story without? All right, so long story short, she is the ex-girlfriend of Joe.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Incestuous. Incestuous.
It was, the director thing was actually pretty hard.
I figure.
I did not have a director. I would say a month before I put the show up.
Oh,
didn't have a director.
Oh wow! Okay.
Like that show came together, during the month. I had an idea. I had pieces. I had what I wanted to do. I probably had a bad show, and I had no director. My buddy Ben Davis, who was originally going to help me do this, and did help me. He had to work. He got a gig, and I couldn't be like, no, do my show for free,
right?
So he got a gig, and he's an amazing actor, and so he got booked. And then I couldn't find a director.
Wow.
I had several people who were very dear to my heart kind of drop out and kind of flake out on me, and then there were people who just didn't get it. Who my material is written in a very specific way, and if you don't know me, you don't really understand the work, And I had one artist who I thought would be a good person to have on this project, she just didn't like the material. I mean, she didn't see how it would make any sense.
Okay.
She saw, the latest draft that I ended up creating through my work with Ben Davis was what the show was going to be, but she just didn't feel. She saw it as a guy on stage just doing poems, and I knew that I never. I knew that I never wanted to do that. Poetry is a device in which I get to play. I didn't want to stand on stage and just read pieces. Right. I wanted to perform. I wanted to have an experience. And Joe and I were sitting down at his place, and I feel like we both kind of looked at each other and we were like, "How about Diana?" And
that's so funny.
And
it's kind of cool that it's the same way. It's kind of cool. I mean,
it's great because it allowed Joe to talk to his ex-girlfriend. So that was awesome. But it was.
But she got you, obviously.
She did. She did.
I saw the show. I was like, obviously
she got me, and she's great in that she gives the artist. Because I've seen other stuff she's directed.
Okay.
She gives artists enough space for them to be themselves.
Okay.
So she doesn't micromanage anything. She doesn't she's not like, I don't know, she's not so much the, Geppetto holding the string. She kind of orchestrates.
Okay.
In a really beautiful and safe way that allows artists to feel like it is their story and it is their voice. But yeah, solo shows are hard. I mean,
now, okay, so we're talking about before we get into the other pieces, we're still talking about the mechanics.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, I love it. So the mechanics. Okay, so how do you let go of your work and be vulnerable? How did you do it to let a director look at it and go, okay, let me see what I can do with this?
I feel like
because you're the writer and the performer.
Yeah, I feel like, and I know what I want it to. I know what the vision is, and so I think. Well, first of all, I think one of the things that I've had to accept about myself as an artist is that I am a control freak.
Okay.
And I do have my precious, my babies, and there are things that I'm like, I don't want to let go of this, and I think this is important. And so I feel like with Diana, I was very clear with, here's what I think this is, here's what I want this to be. And then I had to let go. And then I think it's, you have to trust your director. Mm-hmm. I knew that if I wanted to have a director, I had to relinquish control. I couldn't direct myself.
Okay.
So there were pieces that I knew that I had done before. There were several new pieces that I wrote just for the show. and then like finding how they relate and how they all tell the same story, or how they are all parts of the story I want to tell. I had to trust that she would get that.
Okay.
Sometimes you get a director who doesn't know what he's doing or she's
Right,
doing, and
right.
it kind of ruins the project, and you learn from that. But yeah, I mean, I went through a very hard experience when I was working on my web series, where the gentleman that I had originally to direct my piece, and I just butted heads because essentially I feel like he was looking at me like, I'm the director, what are you doing?
Right.
Why are you directing the director? And I was like, this is my baby.
Right.
You should do what I want you to do. And that's
Just make it happen.
That's crazy. You know,
Right.
you can't, because the director has a vision. And film is different, but definitely you have to trust, you have to let go. I mean, I don't know how I let go, but I definitely
you had to.
Yeah, like the end game was important. And also like we were a month out. So it was kind of like either I do this or I don't.
Either I let go or I don't.
I mean, I remember.
Literally.
I remember there was the first night of the show. I was backstage and at the theater. It was at a Greenway Court Theater.
That's right.
On Melrose and Fairfax.
That's right.
Great space.
Yeah, it's a great space actually.
So I remember the audience was packed and I was behind this little door that blocks me from the audience.
Yes.
And I was behind there going, I shouldn't do this. I should just not go out. I'm going to make an announcement. I'm not going to go out. And because I was like, what am I doing? I've had a month to rehearse this. We don't know what this is. I mean,
Right.
tech was crazy. We, like access to the space was hard. I mean, we only had like maybe 4 or 5 rehearsals. We'd only ran through the whole show twice. I mean, it was a leap of faith.
Wow.
And even my band I had gotten that month. I mean, the band and I rehearsed 2 times in a studio in Robertson Boulevard. I mean, it was like, it just kind of all came together magically.
Okay.
And
I did. I saw it. It did.
thank you. But yeah, I mean, you just kind of, I think with any performance, art or whatever you're doing, you just kind of have to let go.
Now, you said you did several drafts, we'll say.
I literally wrote 8 drafts.
Okay.
Each draft was 50 pages long.
And so did you drop some things that didn't have in
Yes,
there? Okay.
several pieces
Okay.
did not make it. I'm very comfortable talking about sex in front of an audience.
Right.
And in my show, there's not much talk about sex.
No.
And so several of the sex pieces just didn't make the cut because it was like, why am I doing this? There was no. There were pieces that I felt like, if it's just about the laugh, then I'm gonna cut it. If it's just a laugh, I'm gonna cut it. If it doesn't mean anything, if it doesn't give me goosebumps, I'm cutting it. Because otherwise it's just about me and I'm being selfish. This audience came to experience something. I have to honor them. I have to give them something.
I like that.
So I can't. Yeah, if it means nothing, cut it. I mean, and there are pieces that I'm like, this is really funny, but this is just a piece about my balls, and who cares about those guys.
Right.
So yeah, several things did make the cut that are, pieces got cut, pieces got shortened.
Okay.
I mean, the show, funny enough,
How long was it?
Was like 2 hours.
Wow.
And it just, every night got longer and longer and longer because the audience would just laugh and laugh and laugh, and I would milk pieces.
Right.
But yeah, we cut a lot. I mean, we cut. There was one draft that I wrote where it was all character.
Oh,
and it
okay.
was very little me. It was it was me through these various characters. And that's hard to pull off because it wasn't. It was literally me talking to myself for about an hour and a half.
Okay.
And then the audience is like they become voyeurs.
It's like few people like Whoopi Goldberg did it well.
Yeah,
earlier. It's
yeah.
like some people can do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
but even her show, which is amazing, is still her to the audience.
Yes, it is.
She
That's true.
never talks to herself.
That's true. You're right.
So I had a show. I wrote a piece where I was literally, I mean, it was like, and it was like, okay, this is the Joshua the Schizophrenic Show.
Right.
Come watch me be crazy for an hour and a half. So that didn't fly, and who knows? I mean, these pieces are not dead.
Right.
They live somewhere else.
They could manifest in a web series or a sketch. Or,
and I already I'm right now. Tell Me I'm Pretty is gonna be shown at the Red Cat Theater.
Oh, okay.
This weekend, which is great. So
good,
if you're in town,
yes,
go to the Red Cat in downtown.
Yes.
The Red Cat is the Roy and Edna Disney CalArts Theater.
Yes.
So
Very good.
Yeah, the Red Cat is showing up and coming artists in LA, and so we're all doing like 15 minutes of our show.
Oh, okay.
That we're working on. So it's 5 of us presenting.
Okay.
That got chosen to be part of this project.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so so my goal and my hope is that I get to tour my show and I get to take it around the country and the world.
Yeah, definitely.
And so Red Cat is kind of the first step in that direction of like, here, I want more people to see it. I can't wait to do this show as many times as possible so that I can move on to the next show. Because I already know what the next show is.
Oh, okay.
I can't wait to do that next show.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the collaboration part because you have other collaborations too, but we're going to talk about this one.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that for us?
Yes, for us. So look
got
at
it.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Got it. Like, this is live television, kids. Live television. I love it.
We got feedback
have
from is that from Jonathan?
Yeah. It's your
And
buddy, Jonathan.
I love that it's like,
He's like, thank you.
you're welcome.
Hello.
And then I like the happy face emoticon that he types.
Yeah. We're real. It's going to be real today.
It's awesome.
There's things that go on behind the scenes too. We love it.
I love it.
Okay, so collaboration.
Yeah.
With this show, you chose to add a band.
Yeah.
A 3-piece band.
Yes.
And I saw how it played. They were a
They're
character.
part of the yeah.
Talk
They're
about that
there.
a little bit.
Well, there's sometimes these guys that I picked are very talented musicians, and I felt like, well, they're on stage, we can all see them. Why would I ignore them?
Right.
And they're all great performers. Shout out to Eric, Jerry, and Merrick. They're my players. So they're awesome guys. They all got performance backgrounds. The drummer Jerry Duke comes from a musical theater background, and I wanted to utilize them. They're there. I always feel like it's weird when you're doing a show that I've seen people do shows, and the band's always visible. And the performer never references them. They're kind of like these ghost people in the back. And I felt like, no, why do that? Like, so it is a solo show, but it is a collaboration.
Yeah, that's very hard.
And Diana had a great idea as far as how to incorporate them more. There's a piece I do about my man parts.
Yes.
That they're in, and called Small Parts Anonymous. And you get the point. You get the point.
Yes.
They're in that, but yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of collaboration.
Yeah.
I think people aren't islands, and I think that anytime you get to share in the artistic, creative, collaborative,
I totally agree.
Beast, it's more fun. You learn more about yourself. Collaborative work is always interesting because you do have to surrender. It isn't about you.
Nope.
And I love this sense of like you got to give and give and give and be comfortable receiving too. Sometimes artists don't like to receive.
I know.
So so this is awesome that so with the shows is they were a real presence in the show.
They were.
They weren't just people behind me. They were actual characters.
Well, they were, and they had a little comedy in there.
Yeah, I mean,
with music. I mean, like, they didn't speak on it. It was with music.
Yeah, we found a lot of wonderful ways to make them play a part of the part of the show. That's fun for me too because I am a comic and I do get high on making people laugh. And moments where I get to kind of break them up during the show is very entertaining for myself.
Now, the unique talent that I speak of most of the time, you guys, is that he is a beatboxer. Mm-hmm. And it's in your show. So
It is.
let's first talk about in the show.
Okay.
How do you choose? This is good for anybody with any kind of unique talent.
Yeah.
How do you? Because you want to incorporate that because it's you.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
All right, so beatboxing for me, when I first started beatboxing, I was very, very young.
Okay.
And
who'd you hear from first?
Bobby McFerrin.
Okay.
Bobby McFerrin was the first performer I ever saw come out on stage and just do percussion and create amazing music with just himself. I mean, he's a god.
Yes, he is.
He inspired me, and I was a goofy kid. So I remember on the way home, I was just, I was 5. So that became music for me as a child. And then when I got into hip hop in the late 80s and early 90s, listening to Dougie Fresh or Biz Markie or Rozelle or
Even the Fat Boys,
even Buffy the Fat Boys.
Yeah, they all, I mean,
these guys. I was like, oh, cool. I want to do that. That sounds cool. And
but you didn't go the musical route. You didn't go like I want to be a.
No, so music for me is interesting because my piano teacher quit on me when I was 9.
What?
Yeah, she's probably dead now. But my piano teacher, when I was 9 years
Mine's
old,
dead.
yeah,
Miss
she's
Pappy.
she's
dead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she was like 100 years old back then.
She was probably old
Yeah,
like that
early
then.
hundreds, yeah.
And she basically on my 3rd rehearsal practice at I had piano at my house I grew up in. She left a note on the door because I got home late because my mom had picked me up from school late because I'm a child. She was like, when you're serious, call me.
Oh, dang.
And I was like, what's
I'm
wrong with
9.
you? Yeah, I'm serious about what? I'm not serious about anything, So she quit, and that was kind of the end of my piano playing. I just felt like, I'm not meant to be. But I always kind of, noodled on the piano. Is that correct? Noodle? I guess you can noodle on a guitar. I guess, whatever. I played.
That's all, yes.
I played by ear for a long
wow,
time.
okay.
But no, I mean, beatboxing was, for me, when I became good at it, was definitely hip hop. Was definitely about being in ciphers and letting people freestyle over what I was doing, and then my kind of evolution with it was my introduction to the spoken word scene. I became a member of the Poetry Lounge back in 2000 or maybe 99. And the Poetry Lounge is the biggest open mic in the country. It also takes place every Tuesday at the Green Bay Court Theater. So I went and I fell in love with these people doing poetry, and I had written poetry growing up, and I loved poetry, and I found that this was a place where I could potentially get my chops up doing spoken word. However, one thing I had also developed as someone who loved performing and did lots of theater growing up as a kid, I'd also developed a very high, heavy sense of self-hatred and low self-esteem. So I was very afraid to be on stage and be expressive and use my own voice. Being a character on stage was much easier, but being myself. I just had all kinds of anxiety about that. And so I didn't do poems at the lounge. I beatboxed because that was easy for me to do. And it was a way to be on stage where I got to be expressive without fear of messing up the words or making a fool out of myself. And so so the irony of the evolution of me as a beatboxer, it came out of fear. It came out of self-doubt. It came out of insecurities. I just wanted to be on stage. And I found this medium that was a way for me to do that. So I ended up backing up poets for many, many years. And I became like the beatboxer in the spoken word scene, and that led to me being an international beatboxer and all kinds of things. And on the, and then behind the scenes, I was doing like plays and productions, and just wasn't talking about that stuff. And so, so beatboxing was never. I mean, there was maybe a few years where I considered myself to be an actual musician. And some people still do. But for me, beatboxing, I think at the end of the day, was always an outlet. It was another way of being expressive. And so moving forward, I got tired of backing up people, and I kind of, the need to tell my story and the need to be my own performer was just biting at my soul. And so it eventually just kind of opened up, and I was like, I got to do this. I got to perform my own stuff. And beatboxing was just another way of telling stories.
But how do you kind of decide that I can possibly make money and affect change with beatboxing? I mean,
that's beautiful. I give credit to my parents. They're both big community activists. My mom's an educator. My dad is a practitioner, and both of them have definitely instilled this belief that whatever I do must be about the people.
I like that.
I don't know how to separate myself from that theory, that philosophy. And I am an only child, so I am selfish at the core. But I definitely know that, like, I have this unyielding love to help humanity. And even as I become this cynical monster,
Yes, it's tough. I understand.
like, I definitely hate a lot, but I definitely equally love a lot.
Yeah.
And so so beatboxing, I got laughed at a lot as a child.
Okay.
I was not, because of my parents being activists, and they raised me nonviolently, and as best as they could.
Yeah.
And because they had their own monsters that would always come out and affect me as well. But they definitely raised me very different than I think most kids were being raised in the 80s. I didn't grow up watching violent cartoons.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't allowed.
Oh, wow.
I remember my birthday, this one kid I was a kindergartner, and this one kid named Jared gave me a Transformer doll for my birthday, and I was like, oh, shiny robot monster, yes! And my parents said, no, we don't let him have these toys.
Ooh, dang.
And they took it out of my hands, and that was it, and I never saw it again.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I mean, that was,
Okay.
there weren't any guns in the house. We were an anti-gun household. I mean, even when they got Nintendo, we had to sit
games.
down as a family, mom, dad, and myself, and they were like, Duck Hunt, look, when you're playing Duck Hunt, it's a gun, and you have to be responsible with, like, it was this weird big deal.
I didn't have parents like that.
Yeah, and it was like, I'm shooting cartoon ducks, and a little dog is popping up and getting it, like,
yeah, right.
but it was like, you understand so they put all this pressure,
And it's informed your life.
yeah, and that's how I live now, and so anything I do artistically, whether it's beatboxing, a story, I've learned that. So going back to I was laughed at a lot as a child because I was different, and I didn't understand. And kids were just bullies. That's how they related, and I didn't relate that way. So when kids would make fun of me or mean to me, I took it personally,
Right.
And that created a lot of self-doubt, hence the self-esteem issues. But I definitely was like, I don't like this. I don't like that people are making fun of me all the time. And at some point, I think either you go crazy. Well, you go crazy either way if you're an artist. But I think that what happened for me at least was I got to a place where I began to laugh at myself too. And I think you kind of have to do that, or you become a horrible person.
Yeah.
So I just don't take myself as seriously anymore. And so finding ways of telling stories, whether it be poetry or monologue or comedic or beatboxing, it all comes out of, let me reveal something about myself that gives the audience permission to laugh at themselves a little bit. So I do a piece in my solo show where it's me at a club. And it's me getting really drunk and dancing, but the underlining point of the joke or the story is that I'm at this club to be loved. I want to dance with a woman, and I'm being rejected. And that happens, especially now. I mean, it's hard to go up to a girl and be like, want to dance in LA, or a guy at wherever you want to dance with.
Yeah.
People are not comfortable with sharing themselves in public anymore. And so
Very true.
So doing the club piece was about how do I how do I get through this? I'm at this club. I want to dance. No one wants to dance with me. I know I'll do drugs. And so that's where the jokes come in.
Yeah.
And it's real. People do that.
Yeah, they do. They do.
That's what
Right.
everyone that goes out nowadays has to get a drink in them before they experience the joy.
Yes.
And I wasn't raised like that, but that's the world I live in now. And so it's me commenting on that, and hopefully people watch it and go, oh, that is kind of ridiculous. We probably shouldn't do drugs to have a good time, because it could lead to dangerous experiences that could get us beat up or worse.
It's funny because you've done shows with harpists. You've done a show for there was TED Talks Manhattan Beach.
I did,
and it was you really get around with the beatboxing component.
It's one of those things that it is a funny gift that I've been bestowed with that has gotten me into to tour the country. I mean, again, the fact that it came out of just really being uncomfortable with myself and really not trusting the other gifts, I just find hysterical. So yeah, I mean, beatboxing has given me has been this vehicle that has allowed me to do shows at UCB, has allowed me to do, I work with Wayne Brady, to going to Kuwait and being one of the first American hip hop artists to perform under the U.S. Embassy. I mean, all these things have become very they're little blessings because of this unique thing that I do that women go crazy over for obvious reasons.
Yeah. So how does that translate? What lesson have you learned from that in just life in general in this business?
You gotta say yes. I think
someone else said to me the other day.
Looking at my life as a young person and looking at how I said no so many times out of fear, and looking at my life and looking at the areas I said yes, you gotta say yes. You gotta say, let's see what happens, and you gotta work at it. Everything.
Put yourself out there too,
right?
You
gotta I was talking to a friend of mine last night about this, and she's an amazing poet and artist, and I think she struggles with how the world perceives her, or not. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel she's very talented, and I think where she kind of gets in her own way is why should I do this? And I think at some point, the message in my head was, why not? Why
I always
not
say that. Why not?
Why not do it?
Right.
And I think you gotta say why not until you have a reason as to why not. Because now I know there are things I won't do. I mean, there are shows that I'll never do again.
Okay.
Because they were just, belittling and horrible, and because I'm a beatboxer as well. That also is perceived to be as a gimmick. And you get thrown into lots of little variety shows, and you're up there with the woman who's juggling fire naked, and you're like, do I have to go on after her?
Right.
I mean, one of the turning points in my life years ago as to taking myself more seriously as an artist was I was at some warehouse. It was a warehouse show, and I was on the bill, and they were promoting me being a part of this thing, and I didn't do my research to figure out what it was. I was just kind of like, I'm performing, I don't care. And there was at this show there was a sleeping bag on the floor.
Okay.
And it was very artsy, so I thought, oh, this is some kind of eclectic whatever. Mm-hmm. And the host was announcing someone that was going to go on stage right now, and all of a sudden there's drummers playing, and then all of a sudden the sleeping bag begins to gyrate, and I go, oh, okay, this is part of something creative and whatever. I wasn't a fan of it, but I wasn't judging it too harshly, and all of a sudden he pokes his head out, and it's this white boy with dreadlocks, and I go, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. And then he zips the bag down, and he's still gyrating, and I go, oh, I get it. He's a butterfly. He's a cocoon. I get it.
Okay, yes.
And then my brain goes, oh, he's going to be naked. And I go, oh, no. And then he jumps out, and he's dancing around, and he's fully nude, and he's hopping around, and then he So we did that for about a good 15 minutes, and then they brought me up. And I was just like, I don't want to follow the naked butterfly act anymore. Not unless I know what's happening ahead of time and I get to talk about it. And I didn't. I couldn't find anything positive to say about the experience. So I realized, okay, I need to put myself out there. I need to definitely be in the space of yes and be curious and be open, but also know my own worth and know my own value and also understand, like, this is not a show I should do anymore. I don't need to be at this space anymore.
Is it okay to know, do you have limitations, and is it okay to know if you have them or not?
Yeah, I think that's tricky because one of the things that I think I still struggle with is defining myself. Because I do so many things.
Yeah.
I am a beatboxer, but I'm equally an actor.
Yeah, exactly.
At least in my mind, and have equally done as much work theatrically as I've done percussively. People have a hard time grasping that. If you do a lot of things that are artistic, they don't know. People are uncomfortable with accepting all of that.
Yes.
They want you to do one thing.
You want to figure out.
Yeah.
You're this.
This is the box I'm putting you in.
Yes.
And I don't subscribe to that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
People know me, I don't.
This is awesome.
Yes.
And so because of that, one of the things I've had to also accept is I do all these things, I don't do these things.
Got it.
These are things I would like to do, but they're not things I can do very well. Like I am musical, but I am not the best musician. I don't read music, so I can be in a band and I can find where I fit in that. But I have slowly walked away from being a part of so many band projects because that's just not what I want to do. I don't want to be the vocal percussionist in a band.
Oh, got it.
I don't want to be the hype man.
Yeah.
And I did that for a long time.
Right. And people who do it are fine. People who do it,
hype mans are awesome.
Yes, they're great.
But I definitely was like, I can do that, but that isn't what I want to do.
Right.
And that isn't even something that I think I'm the best at.
Okay.
So it's not as fulfilling for me. I'm never gonna release an album where I sing ballads.
Okay.
I am a bass baritone. I can sing, but
You're like me.
you were the same. But even if my soul's like, you should sing, and I'm just gonna be like, no, I shouldn't do that.
Your soul.
Yeah, like I'm creative, so that I get these ideas. It would be cool if I did, and then I go, wait, no, I should probably just get a friend who does sing very, very well to do this for me.
Yes.
That's the other thing too, is like knowing when to step back and let someone else take the spotlight has been a nice lesson I've learned as far as someone who can do everything. There are people who are better dancers than I am. I'm not gonna go out for the dancing role because I'm not a dancer.
Right.
My buddy Joe is an amazing dancer.
Is he really? Oh, wow.
He's great. He should do that. I can dance. I'm capable of movement.
Yeah.
But I'm not a dancer.
But see, you fit right into my show where I talk about, like I said, paying it forward, lifting each other up. It's something that I really believe in, and obviously you know this because you know me. I believe in this. All of my talented people that I know are in my orbit, I'm always trying to find ways to showcase them or pass them on to that person. Oh, I know somebody who does that. Yeah. It's like an old school way of like the village raises.
We've moved so far away from that. It's crazy. I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's funny because part of me it likes to celebrate the fact that everyone wants to be creative, and I think that especially children, that's a beautiful outlet for them, and we need more of that. But I also feel like not everyone's supposed to be an MC,
exactly,
and not everyone's supposed to be a beat producer or a visual artist or an actor. And I think that we're losing this space of, yes, there are creative people, but there's also other things to do. Like we do need more doctors and more lawyers and more scientists.
Right.
And exposing our friends and sharing the wealth, I think promotes people doing what they do well, so that other people can see, like, oh, that's what that looks like. Doing it well looks like that. And I'm not doing that, so maybe I shouldn't, do that. And that's not a diss at people who really want to do it, but that's like, I feel like if you don't wake up every morning, if it's not worth your life then you shouldn't be doing it.
That quote right there is perfect.
Yeah, I think
I completely agree with
if
that.
you wouldn't die for it, you shouldn't do it.
Right.
And I wake up every morning and I want to perform.
And it's funny. I'm we're in Hollywood, we're in LA, and
We're in Black Hollywood.
Black Hollywood Live. We're in Black Hollywood Live. We're in Black Hollywood. And well, that's even a better point you just bring up. We're in Black Hollywood too, where a lot of times we're pitted against each other. I used to be an actor. I tried acting for a while, and one of those things I chose. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Now I'm a host and other stuff.
You're a great host.
But thank you. And it's funny how we're told there's one slot for this.
Yeah.
There's one slot for that. There's one slot for this, and so we're all trying to get that one. We're stepping over each other and knocking each other down to get that one spot. I always think, why can't we open it up and change it so there's like a million spots?
Yeah, well, because non-Black Hollywood Live doesn't understand that that Black people are not monolithic. That we still. God, it's so weird. It's like it's 2015.
Empire's a hit. Why?
I don't even understand.
It's like it's a good story. Number one.
Yeah, but like we're still caught up in playing the same characters, playing the same. So yeah, like with the fact that there aren't a lot of opportunities for Black actors to be Olivia Popes or whatever the character that
Viola Davis.
Viola Davis won for How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah.
Because there aren't so many of those, we are fighting for the same slot because it is just one slot. So but yeah, I mean, I want to see people of color get out of the bubble and get out of the monolith. There's only one way of doing this. Only one way of being. And explore the fact that, again, going back to the original thing of my show, that we are multidimensional people. We are capable of so many things. So many things we haven't even seen yet.
Exactly.
Because we're so caught up in doing the routine route to fame that we're not exploring different outlets and different possibilities. I mean, I listened to a woman on NPR a couple days ago, and I can't remember her name because I had a hard time pronouncing it. But she's taking minstrel songs.
Oh wow!
And she's singing them, and I mean, just the way she's going about, bringing information to this type of music that existed, where Black people were in blackface.
Yes.
Which a lot of people don't know that Black people also did blackface. Not just white people. That these people sang beautiful songs that oftentimes were maybe you weren't aware about how they were about pain and hurt. And so anyway, she's creating a new genre in her curiosity and her willingness to explore and see what's out there. So yeah, I don't know. I wish we could get out of like, I want to be the best MC, and maybe try something else. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
That also, I hate saying that because I think hip hop is great.
Oh yeah, totally.
And I don't want to dig at if you want to be an MC.
You should do it.
But you should do it. But there's so much more, and I think I want to see what else is out there.
So when your show it's come and done.
Yes.
You did it.
Yes.
You're a peacock.
I'm a peacock.
I'll never forget that.
I'm a peacock.
You have to see the show to hear that.
Oh, please see the show.
Yes. So, how did it feel afterwards? After it was all said and done, you did your series of shows. All that. How was the come down or come out, or how did it?
So
feel?
here's how I function. Going back to I hate myself. So I I went into this with this beautiful and I mean that sarcastically way of being, which was if at the end of my show the audience is not standing up and applauding, I have failed. That's how I went in. I was like, I need to make them stand up and applaud.
Okay.
And so and they did every show that happened, and I'm so grateful now.
Yeah.
But at the time, people stood up and clapped. In my head, I was like, "Yeah, right. Shut up. Sit down. You're lying to me. You didn't really like it. I know what I messed up.
You're just my friend over here. Whatever."
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah, right."
I had
funny.
such a hard time just celebrating the success of it. I mean, I literally would walk backstage, and I would lament about the moments that I messed up and fumbled. And I have a speech impediment, so every now and then I would have hard times with some of the words, and just would sit on that, and then I'd have to walk out and greet this line of people who wanted to do nothing but hug me and tell me that it was the best thing I ever saw. Yeah, it was. Thank you. And every time someone gave me any kind of like. One of my friends who is an amazing producer of this spot called Fly Poet Showcase. Big love to John Hensley. One of my dear friends. He loved the show, and it gave him goosebumps. One of the pieces gave him goosebumps. And he literally said, I had no idea. Like, I mean, he has known me for years, and he just never seen me in that capacity. And he had no idea. He had no idea. He was blown away, and he said beautiful things about the show to his friends, and he invited more people to come, and just really became a big advocate for people coming to support the show. And it took me weeks to be able to accept that he said that. Wow. You know, because I heard it from a space of like, wait a minute, that means that whenever you told me before, I must have sucked, right? Like I took it to the worst possible meaning of it, and so these people in line that wanted to celebrate me, I found ways of undermining everything everyone said.
How funny! Okay.
Because I've practiced that my entire life. I practiced not believing in myself and not and not giving myself props, and so it took me a while for me to go. I think the show's actually pretty good, and I think people really like it. Yeah. And Christina Wong, who's an amazing performer, who also has a show at Red Cat Theater after the show I'm doing, said it was one of the best shows she's ever seen in her life, and I'm so moved by that. I mean, I definitely am one of those artists who just self-deprecate and am my biggest critic, and so I'm learning. You know, in my mid-30s now, I'm learning how to turn that voice off. And my therapist talks about, like, you know, whenever I sit down with him and I'm like, he always reminds me, like, you haven't been doing this long enough, loving myself, giving myself permission to celebrate when I'm doing great things. He's like, you've not practiced that nearly as long as you've practiced hating and knocking down everything you've done. So to answer your question, I finished the show. Looking back, I mean, we threw this thing together so quickly. Yeah. Touched so many people. Yeah. I'm honored. I mean, I'm truly honored that I get to do this. You know, I don't work a 9 to 5. I don't. Every day is a little different. You know. It's a leap of faith sometimes, but the fact that I got to get on stage and people sat there and listened and clapped and laughed and cried at something that I was sharing. Whenever anyone celebrates what I do, it takes me a moment, but I always end up just being humbled. I mean, this could have gone a different way, and I think. I give myself props for having the ambition to continue doing it, because being black in Hollywood is not easy.
No, that's an understatement. But yes,
being a Jew is very easy.
Yes, right.
Very easy. I lucked out with that. But being black, again, you're not given a lot of opportunities to do what I do, and I don't sound the way Hollywood thinks black people sound.
I understand that one.
Yeah, yes. I'm sure you do. And so just knocking down that wall. I mean, getting on stage and talking about my blackness is so important to me, that people understand, like, oh, this is part of the black experience. It's not the one that I'm used to hearing about.
Right.
But it's still part of it.
Right.
And helping that they go, oh, maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe there are lots of stories that black people are telling, but I'm just not listening to all of them. I'm only listening to this gangster one and this,
or this southern one,
or this pimp one, and it's like, So I mean, when a show's over and I've sat down and I've realized that people spent money to come see me, and one of my friends, a friend of mine, Adam, came twice and brought his friends. I mean.
Gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, my show is at Red Cat again, and it's 15 minutes of my
Yeah.
my solo show, so it's not the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I got friends calling me and they want to go, and I'm like,
fun.
it's just 15. It's like it's not the whole thing. Why do you want to see?
It's a snippet.
It's a snippet. What do you've already seen, but they love it, and so and they love me, and I think
They're your village. They're part of your village.
they're part of my village.
love
I mean, whenever you email, I'm like, oh, God,
You do.
James is so sweet. You know, so I feel I get to wake up and be creative and share myself with a room full of strangers, and then they love it. I don't know. I mean, it's the greatest gift.
Yeah.
I think it's just when you set out to be effective and you're effective with your creative expression, and people are touched. It's just. Even the harp, like you mentioned, the harp thing, which was
Yes.
so
it was very unique.
Which was,
go on YouTube, you can find it.
Look up FARP.
Yes.
And this harp player named Lisa, beautiful harp player. I got to the fact that I had an idea that I wanted to articulate it, and then it worked.
Yeah.
It's just
It worked. Yeah, it
there's
worked.
no other. It just I don't know. It's just, it's a high when I'm able to really sit down and go, okay, like what I want, I'm experiencing. Like that's the hard thing is sometimes I get so caught up in my own self-deprecation that I can't even realize that what I want I'm getting.
How funny is that?
Like the fact that I was like, I want people to stand up and applaud after every show, and they did. And I was like, no, you guys are liars, and you all hate me like I hate myself. The fact that I couldn't, it took me a moment to go, wait a minute, you did something,
and you got
what you wanted. People came to your show.
Yeah, hello.
Your last show sold out.
Yeah.
Sold out. You had a Q&A.
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest fear was I would do my Q&A and everyone would get up and walk away. And they all stayed.
Yeah.
They stayed. They saw me for 2 hours and they were like, "We'll take more of you." And
Right.
which is just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, so humbled. I mean, I'm humbled. I'm still learning how to accept that people appreciate what I do.
Now, I can sit here and talk to you for like 10 hours.
Are we out of time?
It's like time. I can't go on forever.
I want to talk about more black stuff. We haven't gotten to Black Hollywood Live yet.
We've been Black Hollywood Live.
We've been living it. We're changing how you see Black Hollywood Live. Wait, so are there? I talked way too much. Go ahead. I was just rambling.
You are the best. Okay, so
you say that now. This is your first show. You're gonna look back after a month and go, I think that was my worst show ever. I think Joshua was the lowest bar. What a mistake I've made. And we're back to me hating myself.
Exactly. See, you always bring it back together. A good comedian brings it back together.
I don't ever forget where I'm going. Yeah.
Good comedian and ego. Bring it back to me.
Oh, my ego is so mighty.
Oh, I have one too, but I'm keeping it
You're
down
doing
right
great.
now. Yeah, I'm doing fine. So of course I ask all my guests 2 questions.
Okay, let's go.
And so, because I believe language is very important, it can stop us in our tracks.
Yes.
It can also motivate and move us forward.
Yeah.
So the first question is,
I'm so excited.
what word should we take out of our vocabulary?
Oh my God! I was literally having well, I can't swear, but the N-word.
Okay.
I want to get rid of it.
Okay.
I
This is
mean,
Black Hollywood Live. Good thing to say.
Can we just get rid? I mean, okay. Here's
his rant really quick.
Here's the thing.
Yes, tell me.
America.
Tell that camera right there what
America.
you're thinking. That one over there.
Oh, that one?
Over
Okay.
there, yes.
We didn't make it up. I just want to tell all the young black men and women or white men and whatever, if you
Whoever.
use it and you're
Stop
under
it.
the age of like, I don't know, 20, and you're like, well, that's our word. We didn't make it up. We were literally called this word for our entire existence as Americans.
Yes.
That we accepted it
Yep.
as who we are. Like I wish there was maybe a moment in time where like Frederick Douglass sat down with the room full of black people and were like, look, we're just gonna change what it means, guys.
Right.
We're gonna take the power back. That didn't happen. It didn't happen. It just never happened. So people use it because they're addicted to using it, and I feel like anytime you have a word that you're addicted to using, you should look at that.
Yeah,
I think that I don't think the word builds us up. I think it breaks us down.
Yeah.
It still makes people uncomfortable. And I think out of all the words we could have chosen to, refer to ourselves as brothers and sisters, like brothers and sisters, why not king? Why not queen? Like, why not? Why the N-word? And so I feel like I think if we were to eliminate that word, because like you said, words have power. I think we would elevate ourselves. I think how we refer to ourselves in our communities is how we treat each other. Is how we. I think if we started calling our people kings and queens on a regular basis, we would look at ourselves and how we're behaving. I don't think you can call yourself a king and go out and disrespect women and go on the street and do terrible things and commit crimes. I don't think you can do that. I think words are designed to, definitely emote and evoke whatever your intention is. But I feel like at the end of the day, they do have a vibration that you are not always in charge of, and we need to be more accountable, more responsible for how we use vocabulary. And I think that's a word that I still think is very poisonous to our community.
Now, what word do you think we should add back into our vocabularies that people aren't really using enough or not using at all?
I'm going through the filter of all the things I should not say here and looking for something that I can be appropriate.
Yes. Is it add back in?
You know what I don't hear a lot of anymore? I don't hear... That's not really... Well, I don't hear please a lot. I don't hear people...
I love please. I love that word. You don't say it enough.
Can you please... Yeah, I don't feel like we're saying please enough. And I don't know... I think because we've become so apathetic, we don't get that when we ask something of someone that they're a person, like that we're becoming really entitled. And I feel like if you say please, it takes away the entitlement. Like, oh, I'm asking, like, can you, like, you have the right to say no to what I'm asking you to do. And so I feel like maybe, please and thank you. I don't know.
Thank you. Now, this is putting you on the spot, of course.
Yeah.
But you're a trained professional, and if you don't want to, you don't have to do it.
Of course I will. Want me to beatbox for you?
A little piece, please. And you can look at that camera, like right over there, and do a little piece for you.
Here we go. Little beat dropping from Joshua Silverstein.
Yes.
As my lips are dry.
Hey, drink some water.
I'm gonna drink some water.
There we go.
Here we go. Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. Thank you. Yeah. I love it.
And now a monologue.
For you being my first guest, you get a special gift.
Oh!
And this is from, I was told to say this is from the girls at the Sprinkles Cupcakes in 7th and Fig in downtown LA.
Yeah!
You're a star, you get a cupcake.
Oh, dude.
And they're the best cupcakes,
Yay.
too. But you are a star.
Sprinkles Cupcakes.
And the girls down there were great, so I said give them a shout out. So they said
Sprinkles Cupcakes. The original cupcake bakery. Boom.
They're great.
Thank you, ladies.
Yes, they're good. Joshua, thank you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
This is
our
awesome.
premiere episode.
This is crazy. I hope this show goes bonkers.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'm sure it will.
I'm sure it will. So tell folks now in that camera where they can find you.
Again, my name is Joshua Silverstein. You can look that up anywhere. Facebook, Joshua Silverstein. Instagram, Joshua Silverstein. Tumblr, Joshua Silverstein. LinkedIn, Joshua Silverstein. And on Twitter, it's Joshua Silverbat. And you can also go to joshuarsilverstein.com or joshuaisfresh.com.
That's right. And you guys, of course, we're going to be here I'm going to be here every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Black Hollywood Live. The Facebook page is Breaking Into. On Twitter, I'm at Black Hope LA, BLAKHOPE LA. Use the hashtag Breaking Into. Let me know how you feel. When you see this online on YouTube, Rate the show.
Rate him.
Rate me. Now rate the show. Give me some comments. Tell what you feel about it.
Say nice stuff. Don't just be a mean idiot. Be nice. He's a good guy. Jesus.
Continue the conversation, of course. And on iTunes, of course, rate us and like us on there too. Thank you so much for joining me for my first episode. Woo! And I will see you guys next week.
Peace.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.